Hi, this is Kath Gavin. Welcome to Breaking Bread, bite-sized messages to feed your inner man. Over the next several weeks and months, I plan to share with you my insights on the book of Revelation as I study it. So this bread will be hot out of the oven. Today we're going to continue in Revelation chapter 4, and we're going to look at the symbolism of stones, beasts, lamps, eyes, and wheels. So I'll begin by reading a couple of verses in Revelation 4. I was in the Spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. He that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone, and there was a rainbow round about the throne, in sight like unto an emerald. Let's examine the stone set in the breastplate of judgment worn by Aaron, as recorded in Exodus 28. And thou shalt make the breastplate of judgment, and thou shalt set in it 4 rows of stones. The first row shall be a sardius, a topaz, and a carbuncle. The second row shall be an emerald, a sapphire, and a diamond. The third row a ligure, and a gate, and an amethyst. And the fourth row a beryl, and an onyx, and a jasper. And the stones shall be with the names of the children of Israel, 12, according to their names, like the engravings of a signet. So each stone was engraved with the name of one of the 12 tribes of Israel, and was set in the breastplate according to birth order. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, and Benjamin. The sardine stone, also called sardian, sardonyx, sardius, carnelian, and chalcedony, was red in color. It was the first stone set in the breastplate of judgment and represented Reuben, Jacob's first son. Jasper represented Benjamin, Jacob's last son. Therefore, Jasper was the last stone set in the breastplate. And I'll just go back to Revelation 4 and read verse 3 again. He that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone. And there was a rainbow round about the throne, in sight like unto an emerald. The emerald represented Judah, through whom came Jesus. In Genesis 9, the rainbow was a token, a sign or mark of God's covenant with mankind. Therefore, the emerald rainbow may symbolize that through Jesus, we find covenant with God. Now let's look at the beasts. Revelation 4 verse 6 and 7. In the midst of the throne and round about the throne were 4 beasts. And the first beast was like a lion, and the second beast like a calf. The third beast had a face as a man, and the fourth beast was like a flying eagle. Revelation 4 sounds very similar to Ezekiel 1. Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures. They 4 had the face of a man, and the face of a lion on the right side, and they 4 had the face of an ox on the left side. They 4 also had the face of an eagle. What or who are these 4 beasts or 4 living creatures in the midst of the throne and round about the throne? Why do they look like a lion, a calf or ox, a man, and eagle? Numbers chapter 2 describes how Israel camped around the tabernacle of Moses in 4 groups. On the east side, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun made up the camp of Judah. On the west side, Benjamin, Manasseh, and Ephraim constituted the camp of Ephraim. On the southern end, Gad, Simeon, and Reuben were the camp of Reuben. On the northern end, Dan, Asher, and Naphtali made up the camp of Dan. Each camp had their own banner or standard with an image on it. Jewish tradition states that Judah was represented by a lion, Reuben a man, Ephraim a calf or ox, and Dan an eagle. It makes a lot of sense to me that the 4 beasts in Revelation 4 represent the 12 tribes of Israel divided into 4 camps. These 4 camps were not only identified by various animals and the face of a man, but also stones. The camp of Judah, an emerald. The camp of Reuben, a sardis stone. The camp of Dan, jasper. The camp of Ephraim, chrysolite. Earlier, we discussed how the sardine and jasper stone were the first and last stones set in Aaron's breastplate, representing the first and last born sons of Israel, Reuben and Benjamin. Jesus made this statement in Revelation 1, "I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, saith the Lord, which is and which was and which is to come, the Almighty. I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last." And in Revelation 22, "I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last." Revelation is about the spiritual fulfillment of all Old Testament prophecy, types and shadows. Okay, let's look at lamps and eyes. Back to Revelation 4, verse 5. "There were 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of God. In the midst of the throne and round about the throne were 4 beasts full of eyes before and behind." Notice there were 7 lamps of fire burning before the Lord. Revelation 1 and Daniel 10 connect eyes with fire. Revelation 1:14, "His eyes were as a flame of fire." Daniel 10:6, "His eyes as lamps of fire." In Leviticus 23, God commanded the Israelites to keep 7 feasts year after year at appointed times. "These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons." Seasons, moed, means an appointed time or place. The 7 feasts coordinated with the annual harvests that coordinated with Israel's lunisolar calendar. In the next chapter, Leviticus 24, God commanded that the priests keep the menorah burning continually. "Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually." I believe the menorah, at least in part, represents the 7 feasts being continually observed year after year, generation after generation, at their appointed times. Now, let's look at wheels. Revelation 4 does not mention wheels. However, similar visions in Ezekiel and Daniel do. Daniel 7 verse 9, "His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire." Ezekiel 10 verse 12, "And the wheels were full of eyes round about." Wheels represent a progression through time, an unfolding of prophecy. I think they also represent the cyclical nature of the 7 feasts. The 4 beasts in Revelation 4 were full of eyes before and behind. The feasts gave Israel eyes to see Old Testament events and their future spiritual fulfillment. Israel's lunisolar calendar had 12 months, unless it was a leap year. These 12 months also represented the 12 tribes of Israel and the 12 stones in Aaron's breastplate. The first month, Nisan, was when the first feast was held, Pesach. The 7th month, Tishri, was when the 7th, or last, feast was held, Sukkot. Sukkot marked the end of the agricultural year. If we go by the order in which the tribes came into Egypt, recorded in Exodus 1, the first month, Nisan, would represent Jacob's first son, Reuben. Tishri, his last son, Benjamin. When Jesus said, "I am the first and the last," he was saying, "I am the first feast and the last feast. I am Pesach and Sukkot. I am Nisan and Tishri. The way in which the 12 tribes of Israel coordinate with their lunisolar calendar, the way in which the stones were set in birth order upon Aaron's breastplate, the way in which Israel was arranged around the tabernacle of Moses and around God's throne in Revelation 4 shows us that God is a God of perfect order. All 7 feasts, from Pesach to Sukkot, would be fulfilled according to God's very real and specific timeline. Much to think about there. If you'd like to follow along this journey with me, click the subscribe button below. I'd love to read your insights in the comment section. In the description box, you'll find my email address and information about our Zoom fellowship. In my next video, we will venture into Revelation chapter 5. Until then, God bless.